Well, several people collecting unemployment are alarmed after noticing that their banking information was changed on their Department of Labor accounts without their knowledge.
Yeah, the change in banking information means that recipients haven't been paid and they haven't been told when they're going to see their next deposit either. Fox 61's Taylor DiCello has been digging into the story and brings you the latest information.
We talked to many unemployment recipients, and they say they share the same experience. They noticed that the direct deposit information on their Department of Labor accounts had been changed to an unknown Wells Fargo bank account. They didn't notice it until it was too late, and the Department of Labor didn't notify them until it was too late. The money that was supposed to go into their bank accounts had vanished.
I found out because my deposit didn't go in on Monday night. So when I checked Tuesday morning, I just happened to check the bank account and it changed to a Wells Fargo account. So then I called up the Department of Labor and they said to change my password, to change the account to a different account, and to call Wells Fargo to see if I can get the deposit put back. And when I called Wells Fargo with the account number they gave me, they told me that the account didn't exist. It was a dummy account.
According to the governor's spokesperson, Max Reitz, as of October 7th, potentially hundreds, if not more people saw their banking information changed on their Department of Labor accounts without them knowing. Some claimants say it happened as early as the end of September.
On the letter was September 28th, but it came in the mail on Friday.
The letter from the Department of Labor said they were aware changes were made to her account.
Let us know if that wasn't you, and that's pretty much how I found out about it.
Kim from Danbury says she noticed on a Facebook group for unemployment that other people were experiencing issues with their direct deposit. When she logged into her account, she noticed her banking information was also changed to an unknown Wells Fargo account. Wells Fargo, in a statement to Fox 61 News, says our fraud claims team conducted an investigation and confirmed the account referenced is not a valid Wells Fargo account. Also, there was no hack of the Wells Fargo system associated with this situation. The Department of Labor spokesperson, Juliet Manilan, said based on their available information, Connecticut Department of Labor is not aware of any intrusion into databases. We are aware of and investigating fraud attempts. Max Reitz also says there was no recent breach into the Connecticut Department of Labor systems, but admitted potentially hundreds of accounts' banking information had been changed.
I still have not gotten any payment. They're on hold, and what I'm hearing is that we just have to sit and wait till who knows when.
We've asked the Department of Labor to talk to us on camera, but they declined. Taylor DiCello, Fox 61 News.
A lot of unanswered questions there, Taylor. Thank you. We'll, of course, be staying on top of this story as it is top of mind for so many of you. If your banking information on your Department of Labor account has been changed without your knowledge, share your story with us. Share61@fox61.com is the email address. Let us know what happened. And as we said, we're continuing to dig for answers about it.